Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me today. I am Jim Coppinger with Zen10 Consultants. I want to welcome you all to our signing and sealing PDF documents with Bluebeam Revu. So appreciate you guys being here. A couple of housekeeping items before we get into the presentation. Because this is a public forum, I do keep all the attendees' telephones and microphones muted throughout. But if you guys have any questions or concerns, you can type into the chat or the question box in your go to webinar control panel. And I'll see those. I'm not going to take time to answer those in real time, but I am allowing some time at the end of this presentation to catch up and do a little Q&A session. So I will get to your questions, I promise. Just type them in as we go. All right, so with that said, let's go ahead and get into today's setup. So for those of you who haven't worked with us before, we're Zen10 Consultants, and we are AEC experts. We really work with our clients in the construction and design community to really help develop and implement and really maximize the software that you guys already have, as well as selling it. And we are a certified and authorized Bluebeam partner and a premier training center. So we hope that you guys will hit our website and see all of the other great things that we offer for you. All right. So for today, we're going to be talking about signing and sealing documents using Bluebeam Revu. You know, and it's an important thing, because at the end of the day, what really winds up happening here is there are two ways that most of us wind up signing and sealing documents, right? We try to do it inside the CAD system, which can very often lead to problems. In point of fact, there's been a lot of legal action and legal cases of, you know, people getting their hands on signatures and seals and reusing them outside of DWG files because they've been inserted as blocks. So it's a big concern in that respect. And the other issue that you really run up against, which is really much more of an expense and a time consuming process, is the idea of printing the document. So what a lot of design firms wind up doing is we'll print out, you know, the full paper set of documents and then, you know, hand it over to the engineers and the architects and say, okay, go ahead and sign. Right? And then they go through 100 or 200 drawings in the set and they sign everything. Well, that's great. We've got one set. Now from that, what do we have to do? We have to go in and we have to scan those into a PDF format, which makes them a static PDF, which can be really limiting to your end users. It takes away a lot of the functionality of PDFs when they're just scanned, because really it's a photo. It's not an actual PDF, it's a photo that's kind of being inserted and simulated as a PDF when you do a scan. And a couple of things happen from that. Right? Like, so number one, it actually really messes up with the resolution of your drawing. So you're going to find that you lose a lot of fine line presentation capability, right? A lot of your real thin ghosted lines start to come out much darker after they've been scanned. There's the time that's involved with that, right? Because you just took, you know, 2 hours to have, you know, 3 engineers signing things, right? Manually, they're exhausted. It took hours of their time. And then you have to go and scan it, which takes more hours. Then you have to go now and print out, whether it's in-house or send it out to a service, hundreds and hundreds of copies, right, for people to access, you know. So that's a little bit of an issue. And like I said, at the end of the day, doing it that way, you do wind up with a limited use PDF, right? Things like being able to, you know, search for objects and count objects and make modifications to text and highlight things can be really limited when you're dealing with a scan. So instead, what we're going to talk about here today is actually using a true PDF, a printed PDF. We print from the DWGs to a PDF format, right, so that we don't lose any resolution. Right? And I'm going to jump over here to Bluebeam Revu, and then we can actually use Bluebeam Revu for signing and sealing, not just construction documents, which it's great for, but we can actually use the processes we're going to talk about here today to sign and seal anything and any combination thereof. We can do reports, we can do verification files, we can do you know, letters of intent, contracts, and construction documents, all of the above. We can make use of Bluebeam in this PDF format for that. So the first thing I want to touch base with here today is show you guys that built right into all versions of Bluebeam. It doesn't matter which version you have, whether you have the standard, the CAD, or the extreme. Every version of Bluebeam has built-in digital signature capability. And if you go up to your tools and you go under your signatures, you have the ability to either sign or certify a document. And down here, you can actually create from scratch your own digital IDs. It also integrates with third-party apps like, you know, VeriSign, right, or DocuSign, that you can put in like a key fob. If you have that type of a structure, you can use those predefined setups, or which is perfectly legitimate for almost all states' requirements in terms of signing and sealings for design engineers. the built-in 64-bit encryption inside of Bluebeam. You can just go in and you can go to digital IDs and you can actually create your own digital IDs. All you really need is your basic information, your username and a password, right? So that it's protected so that we can verify that you're the one applying the signature and you're good to go, right? So I've already got one set up on here. So what I'm gonna do is go down here and I'm gonna go to my signatures, right? And then we have two options. We can either sign or certify a document. So signing a document is what most of us in the design world think of. It's applying a physical signature. I actually need to put my signature on here to show that I reviewed this document. It's good. It's ready to go. Certifying a document, right, is a little bit different. What you do when you certify a document is you're certifying that all the data that's on this document is accurate, right, ready for construction purposes or contract purposes, and it gives you the additional benefit when you're certifying it. When you're certifying a document, you get the additional benefit of being able to lock out any type of changes to the document after you've certified it. Right? It gives you the ability to just lock it down so nobody can add markups, comments, changes, revisions after the fact. Okay, which gives you a really nice level of security. So let's start with basic signing of a document. Right? So the idea is that you go in, let's say that we need to actually apply a signature over in this area. I can just go to any area within any PDF and just kind of draw a box, say, I want to put a signature right in there, okay? And you see it brings up your digital ID. Now, again, I've already got a digital ID created here, so all I have to do is go in, and it will give you a list of all the digital IDs, so you can actually build a central database for your entire company with all your signing professionals, right? And you just go in and you just put in your password, right, whatever it may be, and you log in. Right, and you see here I get the choice to either do a digital signature or a certification. Right, I'm going to do a signature for right now. I'm going to say I want to log in. Okay, and you see down here that this signature, and I can have different appearances. I can have an initial appearance, so just my drawing initials, one with a physical signature, one that just has like my drawing date and so on. You see that I get different features that I can turn on. Right now I'm using what is basically just a saved signature file, right, to add here, right, and I can set it for left, center, justification within the box. Right, I can do things like turn on my name, right, my location, right, the reason why I'm doing this, the date, the time. I've got all kinds of variables that I can use here, right, whether or not I want to, include, logos, okay, all of the, the labels, etc., anything that I want. Right? I can turn that all on and off and save that as a specific appearance for my signature. So I can have multiple different appearances for my signature type. I can choose a reason why I am verifying or signing this document. Right? I don't have to, but it's good to go and say, hey, you know what? I'm approving this document. Right? I can put in my location, which office I'm in. Right? I can put in my name and email address here if I want to. Right? And really, once that's set up for a basic document signature, right, on a manual process, now all I have to do is I'm going to go and I'm going to do this as a signed. Right? Actually, I just can prefix it saying it's a signed document, and I'm just going to sign it. I already got one in there. I'll overwrite that. Right, and you see that it just brings in that signature, right? No problem. My signature is right there, placed on my PDF with no problem. And what's nice here is that if I go to the signatures tab, you see that it's showing me in this little setting here, it's green and approved that, hey, this is a valid signature, right? It was signed at this date and time by Jim for this reason. It gives me all of the specifics, okay? It tells me even what signature, I used. And what's nice about this is that while people can make changes to this document, as soon as somebody goes in and they make a change and say, hey, let's move and modify that. You see what happened over here? Right? It's saying that signature is not verified, meaning something was modified after I put in my signature. Okay, so I know immediately this is not the document that I signed. Somebody made some change. It could have been as simple as drawing a line, moving a box, doesn't matter. That shows up immediately. Right? Now I have the option here, right, to go in and look and see what what changes are. I can re-review the drawing and say, okay, yep, I approved it. I told them to do that over the phone. Yep, that's the area we're working in where that yellow box is. Now I can just go back to that document and just right-click on it and just revalidate the signature. Now, right now, if I click on that, because I am still logged in from where I signed this, it'll just revalidate it. Normally, you would have to, if there were a couple of days difference or a few weeks or years difference between your signings, you'd have to go back in and put in your password. But right now, I can just go in and say, hey, I'm just going to revalidate the signature, and you see, okay, you now approve this change. This is fine. So it allows you to apply it once and then very quickly go back and redo those. All right, so I can individually go in and easily sign any document that I want, one at a time. Still a little bit of a slow process, right? But at least I can just go open up, type in a password, say okay, and be done, right? Rather than manually hand signing with a pen 300 files. So the other thing that you can do there, like I said, we can go in and we can do the opposite, right? Which is rather than signing a document, right? Let me close out of this. Right, I'm gonna open that back up again. Give me one moment here. Right, and I'm gonna go in this time and I can certify that document. Right, and you see the difference. Certify, you see that there is no place to actually put a physical signature. What this is going to do is it gives you the option, right, when you're certifying the document to decide what people are allowed to do. After I certify this, no changes. That means nothing. That means people can't draw lines, they can't put markups, they can't put comments, they can't edit or change, they can't fill out form fields. It completely locks the document down. Or I can choose them, yeah, they can put in forms and digital signatures later on, so I can certify it and then have somebody sign it after the fact, okay? Or I might allow them to put in markups and fill in forms, right? So it's your choice depending on what you want. Right, other than that, it's just hit okay. You get, you can see I'm still signed in here. Then it locks this document down and it locks out any changes whatsoever. Right, so if I'm locking that document down, okay, now I can go ahead and I'll save this as my certified document. Okay, now you can see that when I go up and I go to do things like basic tools and markups, you see they're all grayed out. I can't do anything. It locks this document down. There's no edits allowed, so I can't even go in and modify and stretch this. I can't delete things. I'm locking it down into a permanent state so that nobody can alter it after the fact. Okay, usually save that as a copy. Right, now I'm going to go back now, right, and I'm going to talk about batch signing and sealing. And you don't have to have any documents open to do this. So like I said, what I showed you so far is you're going through and you're doing this in an individual sheet by sheet process, which is fine. Definitely faster and easier than signing it manually and then scanning it and then printing hundreds of copies. Right? But I can also go in and I can do this all in one shot. I can take a set of PDF documents, right, 300 or 400 of them, and I can easily go in and I can assign a seal and a signature and tell it exactly where to place that signature and seal on every one of those 300 documents, whether they're 300 separate PDFs or 10 PDFs with 30 pages each in them, doesn't matter. Right? So I just go in and I'm going to do batch signing and sealing. Now for the batch features, you do need to have the Bluebeam Extreme version, right? Just so you're aware. And what's nice here is I can go in and I can add, right, folders. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to grab an entire folder here. I'm going to go in and grab this project folder, right? And I'm going to select that folder, and you see that it goes through and it looks in that folder and it finds all of the different PDFs that are within that folder, right? And you'll see that it also gives you, you can see that a number of these are just one-page documents, but you can see this one right here, the overall set. I can choose which pages within each document I want to use. If I want to use all the pages in the document, or I can go to a custom range and say, hey, I only want pages 8 through 15 in there. Okay, so I can choose whichever pages are appropriate within each PDF. But you see, I could easily select a folder with 1,000 PDFs, not a problem, right? And I can even save that set so that I can do it later on. So if they're getting overwritten and redesigned for revision 2 and revision 3 within the same folder, I can just reload this set, right? And I can just go ahead and say next. And you see that what it does is it opens up this set of documents. It opens it up with the first one. You can see down here it's set, they're all 30 by 42 sheets. And here I have an actual list of all the documents, right, that are currently open, okay, from that folder. Now what's nice here is that over on the left-hand side, you see I have the ability to either put in a digital signature, or I can actually do a certification, right? So in this case, I need to go ahead and I'm going to log back in here with the, oh, sorry, got to change the account, right? I'm still logged in there, good. Okay, and you see there's that same physical signature that I can apply, and you can see up here as I zoom in, right, you can see that up at the top left, it's put my signature in here, and it's also put in a seal. Down here I have a seal, right, and you can put in whatever seals you need, and I'm choosing just a basic seal, right, and that's it right there. I'm choosing a seal of approval, but if you've got a licensed a signature seal, already built for your users, you can use that. Whether or not you want to put in date and times, I'm going to turn that off for now. But what's nice here is it's showing it on the first page. right? And what that lets me do is decide where this is going to go. So you see, I can move the seal to wherever I need it. I can resize it to whatever I need it to be. So if it's, say it goes in that area, same thing here, right? I can actually move my signature down, right? And then I can actually pan in and zoom to that location. And you see now I can move my signature to wherever I need it, okay? Right? And that will print with an invisible background. So even though right now in this preview, you don't see the line through there, the line will show up when we actually print that. All right, so you see that I've moved it to that location on the sheet A3. But what's great here is now if you'll notice here, I can go forward and back on this bottom arrow. When I go to the next document, you see it's in the same location. It does it based on page size. So every 30 by 42 document, it's going to put the signature and the seal right there. Okay. Now, what's really nice about this is that if you have multiple size sheets, so if I had an 8.5 by 11 report and maybe a 24 by 36 site plan, each one of those would show as different options, and I could put the seal and the signature in different locations for the report and different locations on a 24 by 36. Okay, so it becomes a very easy thing to do, and just like that, all I have to do is just say okay. Right? And it's ready to go ahead and it'll process these and save them with the seal in place, all ready for printing. That's it. All I have to do is just go in and say, okay. And it says, hey, you're about to save changes to those files. And it will literally go in, and what it's doing, you see it's opening all 24 of those documents this quickly. Okay, these are all full-size site plans, 30 by 42. Right? It went through and it did every single one of those. Right? So now if I go in and I actually open up any one of those, I'll grab this E42 electrical details. Okay. And it says, hey, this has a digital signature in it. You want to see the signatures tab to verify? Yep, it's still good. And you see it put in the signature and the seal for me with no problem. Okay, all right, that's the way that this works. It's a very, very simple process. Now I've got a full set of PDFs. I've got full resolution structure already built. I didn't lose any of my line weights. I don't have to sit and have somebody sign this for 2 hours and have their hand cramp up for them. Right? It's that easy. All you need is the password, right? A saved signature file, and run it through. And you get both the seal and the signature in the correct location on every single sheet, right? So it's a very, very simple way to be able to work with these ideas, okay? So that is the concept of signing and sealing documents inside of Bluebeam Revu. It's the best way that I found to do it. And like I said, at the end of the day, this is something that you have to do on every single project. And on every project, it adds up to hundreds and hundreds of man hours worth of time, plus printing costs and scanning costs. You're talking tens of thousands of dollars that you spend doing this simple task on every job you work on. Whereas you can completely eliminate it and have the entire process done and ready to go out and share with everybody, signed, sealed documents, good to go in just a few seconds. Okay, so that's the idea. All right, so I think that's all I really wanted to show you today. So I'm going to jump back over to my slide deck. All right. Oh, sorry. Yep. I didn't go to the demo slide. So, well, I skipped that slide. It's okay. But I did see a couple of questions come in as I was going. So, first one, I got a question from Delana. Can the seals be moved or modified after printing? It's a little bit of a yes and no question, Delana. Yes, they can if you set for it. So I'm just going to jump back here real quick to review. When I go in and I do the bat sign, so if I go to the sign and seal, right, and I'm just going to add the open drawing here, right? You see down here in the bottom, we have the ability to flatten the document. If I flatten it, it puts this down and it makes it part of the underlying PDF, so it's no longer movable or editable, within the document. The key there is whether or not you're going to allow the markup recovery, the unflatten. If you choose to allow that, people who have Bluebeam can unflatten it and move this, okay? Versus if you take it off and you save the copy, right, then you can go ahead and just say don't allow, right? Then it's flattened and it becomes a permanent locked-in structure that no one, even somebody else who has Bluebeam, can't work with. So a little bit of a yes and no, it just depends on what settings you choose here, okay? And I got another question in from Archie, who says, I assume you can add your own seals. Yes, yeah, for each end user, I'm just gonna cancel out of this real quick. All seals they're just stamps. If you just go into the basic stamp feature, you can see that that seal here is nothing more than a stamp. So it's just a stamp that I was using. So you can just create a stamp, whether it's a scan stamp, hand created stamp, whatever you need. with, you know, the license information and the specific date and time, whatever other info you need, right, for that specific signing professional, and just save it as a stamp. Right, you can just kind of create that as its own PDF and just go to, you know, tools, stamp, right, and, you know, create a stamp from it. Okay, and then it'll show up in that list, and you can use that, and you can point that to different folders of their network locations and so on. And I think that's all the questions that I see. All right, so all right then, I'll wrap it up here, and you know, hopefully again encourage you guys. We do quite a lot more than just Bluebeam, even though we're Bluebeam partners. We're Microsoft and Civil Site Design and BricsCAD, and when it comes to CAD design and construction, chances are we can help. So please hit our website. And if you'd like to talk more about your Bluebeam and how you're working with it, or if you need to upgrade and want to know more about what we talked about today, you can catch us at any of the contact points up there on the screen. Just shoot an email to us. sales@zentechconsultants.net is probably the easiest, and we can start a conversation on whatever your needs are. So I want to thank you guys for being here today. Hope you got some good info, and I hope we get to work together soon. Have a great day, everybody.